What's good, people? How's it going? Welcome back to the channel. If you guys are new here, please do subscribe down below, smash the like, hit the bell. Those things help out a lot. YouTube's not been notifying people when we upload, so just make sure you hit that bell, guys. That bell is where it's at. Anyway, guys, today we got a dope episode for you. It's all about curing and drying and curing, whatever you want to call it, but a lot of people have been asking for it, so we're delivering it straight to your front door. So in today's episode, I'm going to give you my tips to successfully dry and cure your fresh flowers. The process of growing flowers does not stop at harvest time. Properly drying and curing your fresh stash is paramount to mold contamination from taking place. These procedures will also result in buds that taste better and offer superior effects. And at the end of this video, I'm gonna give you guys a dope little chart that'll help you figure out what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. So definitely stick around for that. But before we get into all that, guys, Talking Loud Podcast is back. We'll be on in a few hours with Spot and Grow, so definitely look out for that. Set your reminders if you haven't already. And happy Memorial Day to everyone out there. We're sending lots of love to everyone. And just to show our love, today we'll be doing a giveaway on this video, courtesy Mars Hydro, and you can win a 50% off coupon up to $500 off, valid on all products on their website. So definitely check that out. To enter, all you gotta do is drop a comment down below and follow me on Instagram, and I'm gonna choose one lucky person at random to win that prize. So drop a comment down below on this video and follow ICanTHC on Instagram. Easy does it, and someone will win a dope 50% off coupon. Fantastic. And on top of that, guys, if you're not feeling too lucky, Mars Hydro's got a dope Memorial Day sale going on, so definitely check it out. You could save up to $100 off and even more savings with the discount code ICanTHC. So savings on top of savings, giveaways, it's going on, man. Memorial Day today with the ICanTHC channel. Bang! Now, guys, if you want to cop some merch and support the channel, we got the Keep My Dealer collection out there. A lot of people have been copping the Keep My Dealer collection. They love it. It's seriously some fire and it helps to support the channel, man. So thank you so much if you did, and if you didn't, man, you can cop it. They got different colors, different sizes. It's awesome. A lot of people have been asking me about this when I go out, man. So you definitely join the fam, man. Join the movement. And guys, the ICAN Seed Club membership is popping. A lot of people have signed up, so definitely sign up if you haven't already. If you haven't, you're literally missing out, fam. A lot of people have signed up. The gold boxes have gone out and people are loving it, so definitely sign up, man. But without further ado, fam, let's get into today's video all about drying and curing. Yes, guys, so it's harvest time. It's harvest time, right? Tell me it's not harvest time. It is harvest time. After watching your ladies grow and flower, it's finally time to collect your hard-earned buds. But before you can enjoy a toke of some homegrown kush, you'll need to dry and cure your freshly harvested flower. So in today's episode, we're going to break down some of the frequently asked questions and the answers to those questions on the drying and curing process. I'm going to share a little bit of my process with you so that you can maximize the flavor and potency of your stash. Now, first off, you need to understand what's the difference between drying and curing. Drying, as the name suggests, involves drying fresh flowers so that they contain less moisture and they can be consumed or vaporized properly. Curing, on the other hand, involves storing your buds in closed containers over a period of at least 2 weeks, and this helps to develop the flavor and aroma of your buds as they mature. Now, you may be wondering, why do I need to do any of this anyway? Why do I need to dry and cure my flowers? Why can't I just pluck it off the tree and roll that up and enjoy that shit? Well, homie, that's not a good idea. Drying your flowers has several important functions that ultimately increase the quality and shelf life of the end product. Freshly harvested flower can contain a significant amount of moisture, which needs to be dealt with before smoking. Why? Why can't I just smoke the wet shit? Well, smoking fresh buds serves up a harsh hit with a little flavor, if you can even get those buds to light at all, because remember, they're super wet. Removing that moisture helps to tone down the harshness and let the terpene profile shine. By drying your flowers correctly, you'll dramatically reduce the chances of mold striking your stash. By just placing the buds on a drying rack or even hanging the entire branches in a drying room, you'll reduce the water contents of your buds by up to 10 to 15%. This process removes the water from the outer layer of each flower, but you'll need to cure your stash to rid the moisture from deeper within the flowers. Now, curing is super important because it helps to preserve your flower so it can be stored over time while still retaining its unique flavor and maximizing that potency. When you harvest your flower, they contain excess sugars and starches that eventually come under attack from airborne bacteria and enzymes. By curing your buds, you actually encourage the degradation of these nutrients, which makes for a smoother, better tasting final smoke. Now, before you even get to drying and curing, there's trimming. There are two main methods for trimming your flowers at harvest time. Wet trimming involves trimming your buds straight after harvest, but dry trimming, on the other hand, involves trimming your flowers after drying but before curing. Personally, I prefer a little mixture of both. I'll remove those big fan leaves but leave the sugar leaf just to sort of cover that bud like a little bat, and it really just works really nice to preserve all that smell and slow down the drying process a little bit. That's my preference. I like a slight mixture of both. But all that said, what do you like to do? Drop a comment down below. Wet trim or dry trim? There's two sides of the fence, but you don't have to be on both sides. You can can mix them up. Anyway, time to move on to the drying, because after you harvested and trimmed, what's the best way to dry your buds? Good question, Matt. Answer it for me. What is the best way to dry my buds? Well, in order for your buds to dry it evenly, you'll want to ensure that all the air can move freely, coming into contact with them on all sides. The best way to do this is to hang your plant and trimmed branches. If you're working with individual buds or smaller branches, you can use wire racks. If you're using those drying racks, just make sure to flip the buds regularly so that they don't flatten on one side. You can get pancake bud. Now, a lot of people stumble when it comes to the RH for drying. For best results, you should dry in a dark room with good air circulation and RH of around 45 to 55%. Light breaks down the THC, light breaks down everything good. You don't want it to be drying in a light room. Make sure it's in a dark room. And you don't want it to be too humid because you can get bud rot. So the RH is super important. And patience is also super important, because a lot of people ask, how long does it take to properly dry my flower? When can I get in there? When can I sample it? Well, guys, there are many factors that affect how long it takes your flower to dry. The size of your buds will obviously affect the drying time, as larger, denser buds will take a longer time to dry than smaller ones. How you choose to dry your plant will also come into play. Remember that the branches of your plant hold the most water, so if you hang up large branches, these will take longer to dry than smaller branches or individual buds. And don't forget, the temperature, humidity, and airflow in your drying space will also have a big impact on the time it takes your flower to dry. In general, the drying stage takes about 7 to 12 days, maybe 14 depending on those factors. During this time, your buds will lose a lot of water, meaning they'll shrink in size and lose a lot of weight too. A lot of people weigh their flower after harvest and get super excited, but dudes, you lose a lot of that weight. A lot of that weight will actually literally be lost, like 75%. So if you were to harvest 100 grams, you'd end up with like 25 grams. Facts. It's crazy, but it just happens. Now, once you dry your stuff properly, you need to move on to curing. But you need to determine when your flowers are properly dried and ready to cure. Now, there's a simple test to know that your buds are dry. Simply take a branch and try to bend it. If it snaps, your buds are dry and you're ready to move on to the curing process. If they bend, then your buds need a little longer to dry. And maybe some people don't like to touch their flowers when they're drying, but I literally just touch them, feel them, and see how they feel. And depending on how they feel to me, that gives me an idea of what's going on. So you can always do that as well. If it feels really soft to the touch, it's probably still moist. If it feels nice and dry, then it's probably getting towards the drier side of things. Awesome, Matt. So I got my stuff dried. How do I move on to the curing process? Well, good question, homie, because a lot of people ask, how do I cure my buds properly? So let's move on to that. First off, most times if you did wet trimming, you'll be ready to move on to the curing stage as soon as your buds have dried. If you choose to dry trim, on the other hand, you'll have to dry trim before you move on to curing. And that's one of my favorite parts. I really like to get in there and just manicure the bud. That's when you get it to look really beautiful and nice. I found out with dry trimming, I can manicure some really nice bud and it looks awesome, man. Top shelf, awesome quality stuff, and it's just my homegrown, so I feel so happy about it. Anyway, I'm getting carried away. Long story short, once your flowers are dry and trimmed, place them in a big wide mouth jar. A mason jar works great for me. It's just easy to get the buds in and out. That's why you want the wider mouth. Once you've grabbed your mason jars, fill the jars up about 3/4 way so that there's room for additional air and to reduce the risk of mold or mildew ruining your harvest. That shit's whack. Now, once you fill up your jars, store them in a dark, dry environment like a kitchen cupboard, and check on them at least once a day for 2 weeks. When you check on them, you want to unscrew and burp the lid. Let some fresh air go in there and let some fresh air come out of there. That air exchange is really important, and it's called burping. You want to burp at least once a day for 2 weeks. I promise you guys, I'll throw up a chart on screen that'll help you guys figure out what to do and when to do it, so here's that chart. Shout out to RQS for this chart, man. It's a really dope chart and it breaks everything down nicely. So burping is super important. During that checkup, keep your jars open to allow for air exchange, and you can have a look at each bud to look out for signs of mold. If you find an infected bud, make sure to remove it from its jar immediately to avoid that fungus spreading. Mold spreads super easy. Those little spores spread like nothing. Now, this process of just consistently checking on your buds and burping your jars will pull that excess moisture out of your jars and allow fresh air to hit your buds. After about 2 weeks, you can start enjoying your harvested flower, but the longer you wait, the better. Now, humidity is a big factor for curing. That RH needs to be dialed in. You should aim for a humidity level of around 62% when you're curing your flowers. This increase in moisture content will slightly rehydrate your flowers, improving their taste and smoothness while still preventing that mold formation. So how long does the curing process take, Matt? Well, most growers cure their flower for around a month. However, curing for around 4 to 8 weeks will really get the most flavor and aroma out of your buds. So it's all about keeping your hand out of that cookie jar. I know, it's really difficult. I find myself struggling sometimes as well, but you'd really just give it a try. If you harvested more than one plant, start smoking the shitty flower first and leave the best one for last. That method helped me, and I've saved flower up to 6 months, and it was awesome, man, awesome. But the process doesn't stop there, guys. You need to store your buds properly once they're dried and cured. Once you finish your cure, you can keep the bud in some jars in a cool, dark, and dry place. You don't need to check in on them every day and burp them and stuff, but just keep them in a dark, dry place. Remember, that light breaks down good stuff. You also want to make sure to keep those jars sealed properly to keep the flowers from drying out too much. If you have a lot of flower that you're not going to get to consuming in the next few weeks, then maybe consider using some of the Bovita packs, because you want to save those terps. Right, guys? I found that works well for me over long periods of time. Some people say it steals terps, but I haven't found that happening with me. But if I know I'm going to consume it within the next month or so, then I definitely don't use them. I just don't see a point in it. But if I got a lot of flower and I'm not going to consume it for say 2 months or more, then sometimes it's useful to pop that in. It's really worth it. But the main goal is to maintain that RH of around 62% in those jars and keep it in a nice dark environment. Don't want it to dry out. Like, have you ever just left a bud on the table and came back a few weeks later and it was dry, like crispy? Damn, bro, that's not what you want. You want to make sure it stays nice. Anyway, guys, you dropped a lot of knowledge into this video about drying and curing, so drop a comment down below and let me know what's your tips and secrets to drying and curing. A lot of people got different methods. Some people dry in boxes, some people dry in closets, some people cure in jars, some people cure in grove bags, some people cure in brown paper bags. So a lot of people do different things, but let me know what you do and let me know what you've done. I'm always down to find out what you guys do, because a lot of people do different things. There's no one right way to do this stuff. Always remember that, guys. Don't forget to drop a comment down below and follow me on Instagram so that you can enter the Mars Hydro giveaway. Memorial Day sale is on. Check it out. ICANN discount code will save you extra bucks on top of the sale. So go and save some money, guys. Smash the freaking like for that. And don't forget to hit the bell. But wait, first, check out this video right here and this video right here. And we'll see you on the next one. Peace, fam.